Thanksgiving Day arrived with a crispness in the air, yet nothing could have steeled me for the shiver that coursed through me when my sister gestured toward the garage and remarked, "She's accustomed to scraps." She spoke it softly, yet with a clarity that resonated in the air. She remained unperturbed. She gracefully offered me a paper plate, then turned away, gliding into her exquisite dining room, where the family was already gathered beneath the warm glow of golden lights and the elegance of polished chandeliers. For a fleeting moment, I found myself standing there, cradling that delicate plate, with my children Noah and Sophie, aged 12 and 9, nestled behind me. Silence enveloped them, unbroken by a single utterance. They gazed at me, anticipation shimmering in the air, eager for what would unfold next.
And what of me?
My tears remained unbidden. Not in their presence. Not after all that we have shared together.
Tus, a smile graced my lips.
I guided them gently through the side door and into the embrace of the garage. The air was imbued with the scent of gasoline and dust, a heady mix that lingered in the atmosphere. A solitary folding table was gracefully positioned against the wall, accompanied by 2 metal chairs and a humble cardboard box to serve as a seat. No adornments. There is a distinct absence of warmth. Only the hush of stillness and the gentle scrape of forks against plastic linger in the air. It was there that we savored our Thanksgiving dinner.
My children expressed no discontent.
They sat upright, their gazes tenderly drawn to their meal. Sophie delicately maneuvered her sweet potato pie with the tines of her fork. Noah tightened his jaw, a familiar gesture that betrayed the struggle within him as he fought back tears.
In that instant, I sensed a delicate transformation in the air.
I found myself devoid of anger.
I found myself untucht by the pain that lingered.
As I gazed upon them, a profound understanding washed over me. I had ceased my pleas to find my place among them. And then, in a moment of exquisite serendipity, it unfolded. A sleek black limousine glided to a stop outside the house. It is not a vehicle.
A luxurious limousine.
All within the space came to a gentle halt. I beheld their silhouettes dancing behind the window curtains, a blend of curiosity and confusion, as they gathered near the front of the house. Yet, the car glided past the front door, unyielding in its journey. The driver gracefully maneuvered towards the entrance of the garage. The engine ceased its hum, and a woman emerged, tall and graceful, adorned in a navy blue coat that exuded an air of sophistication, even from afar. She surveyed her surroundings and inquired, her voice as clear as the morning light. "I seek the esteemed owner of this lovely abode." And as I rose, their expressions fell. Visiting my sister's house for Thanksgiving was not part of my original intentions. I promised myself that the previous year would mark the final chapter. Yet, the children began to inquire, "Will Aunt Charlotte be present?
Will Grandma recall my Name this time around?"
Before I realized it, I found myself delicately ironing a second-hand dress and lovingly baking cornbread in our quaint kitchen, striving to embrace the charm of it all as if it were the most ordinary affair. We reside in a charming 2-bedroom apartment on the outskirts of town. Though modest, it radiates warmth, cleanliness, and an abundance of love. As a dedicated receptionist at a pediatric clinic, I gracefully navigate long shifts while also embracing the art of freelance writing in my spare moments. Though it may not afford us ample time or resources for indulgences, my children remain content. They have yet to do so. Mike, now at the tender age of 12, stands taller than I, embodying a quiet strength and possessing eyes that reflect deep contemplation. Sophie is 9, her heart still brimming with the belief that the world is predominantly good, though I can sense that conviction faltering ever so slightly with each passing year. On the morning of Thanksgiving, I found myself before the mirror, contemplating whether my well-loved boots were charming enough for the occasion. I reassured myself that it was not a matter of seeking to impress others. My actions were driven by a deep love for my children. Yet, the reality remains that a fragment of my soul yearned to be noticed. My sister, Charlotte, resides in an exclusive gated community, where even the refuse bins exude an air of opulence. Her abode is vast and uninviting, exuding the scent of lemon polish and an air of untouchable treasures. She found a most fortunate match, as my mother often remarks. Stephen, an attorney of undeniable charm, exudes an air of sophistication, often seen with a Bluetooth elegantly nestled in his ear, ready to deliver his condescending remarks about public schools with a smirk that suggests he knows better. They are blessed with 3 children, accompanied by nannies, a luxurious Range Rover, and a housekeeper whose English is limited. Charlotte and I have drifted apart since our youthful days. She was perpetually the one adorned with flawless grades, exquisite hair, and an air of perfection in all things. I was the creative soul, the one who filled notebooks with dreams and promise, yet somehow never reached the heights I envisioned. As I glided into her driveway, the celebration was already alive with vibrant energy. The sound of laughter danced from the backyard, mingling with the gentle clatter of dishes wafting through the open windows. I inhaled deeply and turned my gaze toward the children. "Are you both prepared?" Sophie nodded, gently cradling the sweet potato pie we had crafted together. Noah simply remarked, "Let us proceed and conclude this matter." I gently rapped on the door and gracefully entered. No one answered the gentle knock at the door. They simply do not. It was perpetually the same, me stepping in as a visitor at my own family's gathering. My mother, Margaret, scarcely lifted her gaze from her glass of Chardonnay. She sat gracefully on the edge of the couch, her gaze fixed on Charlotte's children as they performed a delightful dance recital in the living room. "Greetings, Mother," I uttered, gently setting the pie upon the counter. She cast a fleeting glance my way, a soft smile gracing her lips before she returned her focus to her beloved granddaughters. "Oh, you appear weary," she remarked with that familiar tone of hers, one that seems laced with concern, yet beneath it lies a subtle judgment, all wrapped in the elegance of a velvet dress. Charlotte glided into the room from the kitchen, her heels soaring elegantly, a striking contrast to the humble task of making mashed potatoes. "Ah, you have brought a delightful treat," she remarked, her gaze lingering on the pie.
"How charming."
Stephen sauntered past, cradling a glass filled with a golden-hued elixir. "Ah, Cal," he remarked, employing the name I find rather displeasing. "The children appear quite grown up. Seats were not offered to us. Drinks were not presented to us. There was an absence of assistance, no inviting gesture, no trace of warmth." My cousins gathered around, their voices a melodic symphony, as they poured wine and gracefully exchanged appetizers from one elegantly manicured hand to another. And there I stood, in a quiet corner with my 2 children, wearing a smile that danced through the awkwardness, just as I always do. Sophie softly inquired, "May I present my pie to Grandma?"
I inclined my head in agreement.
She glided over and extended it to my mother as if presenting her with a precious gem. My mother glanced at it for a fleeting moment and remarked, "Oh, sweet potato, how charming." In that moment, I came to understand the error of my ways, yet it was far too late to turn back. The dinner was being served, and I thought perhaps we might find a place at the table, if only for a moment. Only an hour, I whispered to myself. For a fleeting hour, I could withstand any trial that fate may present. Then Charlotte entered, gracefully cradling a stack of paper plates. Our gazes intertwined, and I could have sworn a smile graced her lips. "We find ourselves a tad constrained for space," she declared, her voice carrying gracefully across the room, as though sharing a secret with all present. "I have arranged something special for you all in the garage." Initially, I found myself in a state of confusion. "Text the garage," I echoed, a soft chuckle escaping my lips, as if it were a whimsical jest. She nodded, her expression unwavering. "Ah, I see you are accustomed to the remnants, are you not?" All discourse in the room came to a graceful halt. Silence enveloped the room, leaving no one to utter a sound. And in that moment, I realized I had returned to the familiar shadows, unwanted and unnoticed, cast aside like a stray dog that had wandered in through the back door. My children gazed up at me, their eyes filled with anticipation, eager to discover my next move. And thus, a smile graced my lips. I gently relieved her of the paper plates, carrying them with care to the garage.
The garage hält a chill in the air.
It was not merely the chill in the air that enveloped us, though that was undeniable, as a delicate breeze whispered through the side door and the concrete floor drew the warmth from our souls. There was an emotional frost that lingered, too. A space not intended to embrace souls, much less those of kin. The air was tinged with the scent of oil, cardboard, and a lingering sense of abandonment. A folding table was gracefully arranged against the distant wall. 2 chairs and a charming crate. There is no centerpiece. There is no tablecloth. Only a simple roll of paper towels and a handful of delicate utensils.
In the corner, an old booster seat belonging to Charlotte as children rested, gathering dust like a forgotten whisper of the past.
Noah gracefully settled into his seat. Sophie glanced about before gently reaching up to caress my hand.
Is this the place where we shall dine?
She inquired softly.
I inclined my head in agreement.
She remained silent, her words lingering in the air. She gracefully ascended onto the crate, resting her elbows delicately upon the table. Her delicate dress gathered in an ungraceful manner beneath her, and I observed her gentle attempts to smooth it out, as if it held great significance. As if anyone would truly take notice. I arranged the delightful spread before us. Turkey slices, just shy of warmth, accompanied by mashed potatoes devoid of gravy, and green beans that appeared to have been hastily heated in a plastic bag. Without cranberry sauce, without bread, and without the allure of second helpings. Not a soul arrived to inquire about our well-being. Noah lingered with his fork poised delicately in the air, before finally piercing a tender piece of turkey with a gentle resolve. "What is the reason for our presence in this place?" he inquired, his gaze averted from mine.
I found myself without a response.
Sophie's eyes shimmered with a delicate brilliance, yet she blinked rapidly, summoning her courage. "Have we perhaps erred in some way?" I took a deep breath.
"Oh, my dear, no.
"You have done nothing amiss. Yet they remain within," she murmured, "while we linger outside. It lacks the warmth of family." It felt as though the very air had been stolen from my lungs. My heart felt constricted with a weariness that transcended mere pain, a result of years spent striving to validate myself before those who had long since deemed me insignificant. I felt an overwhelming urge to return, to overturn the table and unleash my voice in a passionate outburst. I felt an overwhelming urge to confront them, to unveil the insincerity of their feigned kindness and express my true sentiments with unreserved clarity.
Jet es I gazet upon my children, a deeper emotion stiert within me. A wave of shame washed over me.
Not due to any wrongdoing on my part, but rather because I allowed it to reach this point, because I had entangled them in my journey, because I had persuaded myself, time and again, that perhaps this time would unfold differently. Perhaps I might arrive and be embraced, honored, acknowledged. I had crafted my existence with the utmost care, striving to remain unencumbering, refraining from seeking assistance, and ensuring I occupied only the slightest of spaces. I expressed gratitude even when the gestures felt devoid of warmth. I believed that by adhering to the rules, by offering my brightest smiles, laboring with dedication, and remaining discreet, I would one day find my place among them. Yet, I found myself still within the confines of the garage. It transcended the mere notion of a table. It was the heart-wrenching moment of being informed that you do not belong to the true family, that you are merely a burden, that you fall short of their expectations. And witnessing your children experience that sensation, perhaps for the very first time, while knowing it will linger in their memories eternally. Noah cast his gaze upon me once more, his jaw set with a quiet intensity.
"Shall we take our leave?"
His voice held no trace of anger. It was not even tinged with sorrow. It was rather unremarkable.
Numerical value.
And in some way, that pain cut even deeper. I gently reached over and caressed his shoulder.
Before long.
We lingered in quietude, savoring each bite, as the distant sounds of laughter and the gentle clinking of glasses floated through the walls, a bittersweet reminder of joy beyond our reach. Occasionally, we would catch the sound of someone opening the fridge just beyond the wall or the gentle hum of the dishwasher, yet no one emerged. No one inquired about our well-being. I caught the sound of Charlotte's laughter, piercing and radiant, as if it were echoing from a grand stage. And my mother's gentle response, a whisper about how the wine is simply exquisite this year.
Not a whisper of our existence, not even a pretense.
At last, Sophie found her voice. "I long for our quaint abode, no matter how modest it may be." Noah remarked, "It is far from little. It is perfectly sufficient." In that moment, tears could have easily graced my cheeks. Yet, I refrained. I offered them a gentle smile, despite the sensation that my face might shatter from the effort of containing it. I whispered, "We shall return home shortly. And when the moment arrives, we shall indulge in the warmth of hot chocolate together." And we shall indulge in a game of Monopoly. And we shall cherish what we possess, rather than yearning for what others believe we ought to desire. They exchanged gentle nods, a silent understanding passing between them. In that moment, a truth unveiled itself to me, one I should have recognized long ago. This no longer felt like my family.
Blodbinds US-Kin.
Your actions weave the fabric of family. And my family was seated directly before me. As I began to tidy our plates and prepare for our departure, I found myself stealing a final glance at the house, savoring the moment. In that moment, the headlights gracefully glided over the driveway. A long, elegant black car glided to a stop, its arrival almost a whisper in the night.
A luxurious limousine.
Neither a visitor's SUV nor one of Stephen's professional clients. A luxurious limousine, its windows veiled in a soft tint, glides gracefully, piloted by a driver adorned in a classic cap. Noah gazed intently through the smudged window of the garage door.
Could it be?
The engine has ceased its gentle hum. We lingered in anticipation. And then, the back door gracefully swung open. A woman gracefully emerged.
And all at once, the world transformed.
The door of the limousine hesitated before gracefully opening. It unfolded gently, with a graceful and measured pace. It seemed as though the occupant within was savoring each moment, unhurried and at ease. It was as if they were acutely aware of the spell they cast over everyone, even from the confines of the garage. I remained perfectly poised, my fingers gently grasping the edges of the paper plate I had yet to discard. The children had also become still. Even they were aware that this was far from ordinary. One does not encounter unexpected limousines gracing the serene streets of suburban neighborhoods on a Thanksgiving day. Noah drew nearer to the window, captivated by the view beyond. "Mother, do you see that?"
I inclined my head in agreement.
Silence enveloped the house, a gentle stillness settling in. Unsettlingly silent. Through the delicate glass square of the garage door, I could faintly discern the graceful silhouettes dancing behind the living room window. Gazes drawn, drapes swaying. I envisioned each dialogue coming to a gentle standstill. The driver gracefully emerged first from the vehicle. Lofty.
Delicate gloves of a soft hue.
Impeccably tailored attire. He whispered a few words to the passenger, then gracefully stepped back to unveil the door. And then she graced the scene. A woman, perhaps in her late 60s or early 70s. With an air of sophistication, she stood tall and poised, draped in a long navy blue wool coat that seemed to softly convey a sense of affluence. Subtle yet refined. Not ostentatious.
Simply genuine.
She possessed an air of significance, yet it was the kind that required no validation. She chose not to make her way to the front door as everyone anticipated. She gracefully turned toward the side gate. And then she glided gracefully onward. With a graceful stride, I made my way directly toward the garage. Noah murmured, "Is she, on her way here?" Sophie rose gracefully, drawing near to me as if caught in a delicate dance between nervousness and anticipation. The lady paused gracefully just beyond the threshold of the garage door. I gently opened it halfway. She remained unperturbed by the chill in the air, the gentle breeze, or the unexpected presence of three strangers, each balancing paper plates beside a modest folding table. In place of words, she offered a gentle smile. "Pardon me," she murmured, her voice flowing effortlessly, as if she were merely inquiring about the location of a cherished novel in a quaint bookstore. "I seek the esteemed proprietor of this residence." For a fleeting moment, I found myself believing she was referring to Charlotte. Perhaps a companion. A cherished client. A colleague of Stephen's. Yet, a whisper within me suggested that she was already aware of the truth. I took a moment to gather my thoughts and responded, "That would be my sister." "She is within." The lady gracefully tilted her head. "And who might you be?"
My dearest Callie. Elena Rivas.
She glided gracefully a step forward. "Indeed. You are precisely the person I sought out." The garage lay in a hushed stillness. Sophie grasped my fingers with an even firmer embrace. Noah rose to his full height, as if an inner instinct had awakened within him, leaving him uncertain whether to shield me or retreat into the safety of the house. I inquired, with a hint of trepidation, Might I know you? Her smile returned, yet this time it carried a deeper essence. A touch of familiarity.
I am knauen es Vivian Ellington. I am the visionary behind Women Forward.
We gracefully conduct community outreach and mentorship programs throughout the state. Approximately 5 years ago, you graciously offered your time to one of our shelters. Your subsequent blog posts were a tapestry of raw emotion, honesty, and exquisite prose.
My eyes grey wide with wonder. I hold that memory close to my heart.
It was just after I parted ways with my husband. I found myself nestled on a friend's couch with the children, gathering every precious coin I could muster. I dedicated my evenings to volunteering at a women's shelter, seeking to rediscover a sense of purpose and connection. I penned my thoughts on the experience, not for the sake of recognition, but as a means to navigate my emotions. I shared it on a personal blog, where it may find its way to the eyes of about 20 readers. Ever since that moment, I have been captivated by your writing, she continued. Your presence has a remarkable ability to make others feel truly acknowledged. We find ourselves in need of that now more than ever. My thoughts eluded me.
I found myself lost in Agase.
She continued on her way. We are curating a captivating speaker series for our national summit next spring. It would be a true honor to have you as our opening keynote speaker.
We shall take care of it all.
Journey, lodgings, and childcare should you require it. We are delighted to extend to you a publishing contract for your enchanting story. Your voice holds significance, Callie, and it yearns to be embraced. I hesitated to respond immediately. The gravity of the moment enveloped me, warmth cascading up my neck, disbelief swirling within, as a part of me struggled to comprehend that someone as enchanting as her could truly be here for someone like me. At long last, Noah shattered the stillness that enveloped them. Oh, she desires to hear your voice? Sophie turned to me, her eyes shimmering with hope and anticipation. Is it due to your exquisite writing? Margot gazed at them both and remarked, because your mother is truly exceptional. And for the first time in ages, I found myself believing it wholeheartedly.
I cast a fleeting glance back toward the house.
Though their faces remained hidden from my view, I felt their gaze upon me, a silent presence that lingered in the air. I could sense it deeply. The air was thick with confusion, tension, and disbelief, weaving its way from the living room to the garage, creating an atmosphere charged with unspoken emotions. They had cast me aside, seeking to diminish my spirit. Yet, at that moment, a sleek limousine glided into their driveway, and a woman clad in a navy coat inquired about my presence.
I glanced back at Margot. I inclined my head in agreement.
Indeed, it would be my utmost pleasure. And in that moment, a gentle transformation unfolded. Margot extended her hand, not with grandiosity or flair, but with a serene assurance that suggested she was not merely presenting an opportunity. She was extending her respect. Genuine, well-deserved, and long-awaited admiration. I stepped forward, entwining my fingers with hers, and in that instant, a newfound strength blossomed within me. Not from a place of pride, but from a deep sense of acknowledgement. The kind that emerges when another soul truly perceives the essence of your being. I'll fetch my coat, I murmured, a hint of excitement in my voice. You won't require it, she said with a gentle smile. We shall attend to you with the utmost care. Noah tenderly gathered our leftovers, cradling them as if they were treasures of the heart. Sophie intertwined her fingers with mine once more, her eyes shimmering as if she were witnessing a cinematic moment, discovering that her mother was the star of the story. We trailed behind Margot to the limousine, the crisp November air caressing our cheeks, reminiscent of a fresh start. As we entered the car, I cast a lingering glance back at the house. It was then that I laid my eyes upon them. The curtains in the dining room were gently drawn apart, allowing a glimpse of the enchanting scene beyond. Charlotte stood, a wine glass poised delicately in her hand, her lips parted as if she were caught in a moment of disbelief, unable to fully grasp the scene before her. Stephen lingered just behind her, his arm resting gently at his side. My mother perched at the end of the table, her eyes narrowed in contemplation, seeking to unravel the intricacies of it all. They appeared bewildered, neither angry nor embarrassed, simply taken aback, as though the cosmos had rewritten the narrative and bestowed the limelight upon the one they had relegated to the background. The car door closed softly, enveloping us in a realm that, for a fleeting moment, felt entirely ours. The seats embraced us with their softness and warmth. The lights within cast a soft, soothing glow. Margot exchanged a few words with the driver through a petite window before gracefully redirecting her gaze towards me. We have secured a delightful dinner reservation in the heart of downtown. I envisioned we could delve into the summit, the contract, and the kind of support you may desire in the coming months. I nodded, a hint of disbelief lingering in my heart. Oh, how delightful. That sounds absolutely perfect.
Laila murmuret softly, "Es ist the essence of fame."
I laughed, not from arrogance, but from a joy that overflowed before I could contain it. My dear, I must insist otherwise. This is the essence of being cherished. Noah sat opposite us, his gaze lingering on every detail. His silence spoke volumes, a language of its own that needed no words. The manner in which his shoulders eased, the way he finally appeared proud rather than merely protective. That was quite sufficient. As the limousine glided away from the driveway, I stole a last lingering look in the side mirror. The house appeared diminished, not in size, but in its very essence. It no longer seemed to hold the significance I once believed it did. I had no expectations of finding a place at that table. I had no desire to contend for a place in that realm. I am crafting a table of my own, a place where my children will always feel embraced and cherished. The dinner that evening felt as though it had been plucked from the pages of a fairy tale. Delicate linen tablecloths, exquisite silverware, warm bread nestled in a basket, and attentive servers who addressed me as ma'am, making me feel cherished. Yet, the true enchantment lay not in the cuisine or the hospitality. It was woven into the conversation. Vivian yearned to uncover the entirety of my tale, every intricate detail woven within. She listened, not with the intent to respond or correct, but with a heart open to understanding. She carefully jotted down notes as I spoke of the trials faced by a single mother, the way society can cast shadows of doubt, making one feel like a failure merely for enduring. She smiled softly as I spoke of those late nights, crafting blog posts under the gentle embrace of moonlight after the children had drifted into slumber. Her smile blossomed as I recounted the moments when Sophie guided me in color-coding my job applications, and how Noah, upon hearing my tears in the kitchen, took it upon himself to search for ways to pay our
NT with no money.
We long for your voice, she reiterated softly. Many believe that inspiration must arise from grand, dazzling existences, yet it is the subtle warriors who embody true bravery, the ones who persistently arrive, even when unseen by the world. As the check arrived, she gracefully dismissed it with a wave of her hand. You have already given more than enough. Allow us to guide you from this point onward. The journey home was serene, not due to a lack of conversation, but rather because tranquility speaks softly, yet profoundly. As I gently tucked Sophie into bed that night, just before I dimmed the light, she whispered, "I'm glad they put us in the garage." I fluttered my eyelashes in surprise. "Who might you be?" She inclined her head gracefully. Indeed, for without their guidance, the limo would have been lost in its search for us. That brought me to a halt. Indeed, she was correct. At times, one may find themselves gently nudged to the edges, allowing the true path destined for them to reveal itself, or perhaps for them to discover it anew. I pressed my lips gently to her forehead. Your intellect is truly remarkable. The essence of it comes from my mother. And in that moment, clarity enveloped me. That day, they failed to shatter my spirit. They unveiled my essence. It has been nearly a year since that enchanting Thanksgiving. In a sense, I find myself ever in pursuit of the woman I blossomed into within that garage. Some things transformed swiftly, much like the flurry of emails and phone calls that began to arrive following Margot's team unveiling me as the opening speaker for their summit. Much like the enchanting publishing deal that graced my inbox, adorned with the captivating subject line, "Your voice matters." It is delightful how people have begun to recall my name, not merely as Charlotte's sister or Margaret's daughter, but simply as Callie. Yet, some transformations unfolded with a gentle subtlety. Those moments that unfold in the delicate pause between heartbeats, when you cease to apologize for your true self, when you no longer diminish your essence to ease the discomfort of others, when you embrace the truth that your narrative deserves to be shared without seeking approval. The keynote speech was both daunting and exquisite in its delivery. I found myself on a stage, surrounded by a sea of remarkable women. CEOs, teachers, single mothers, and students. I shared my truth about the garage, my children, and the years I devoted to shrinking myself to fit into a family that would never embrace me.
I beheld the tears of strangers.
I beheld their gentle nods. I observed women gather afterward, each expressing their gratitude with a heartfelt thank you.
It was I.
In that fleeting moment, I experienced a sense of belonging that surpassed any I had known even in the company of my own family. The book arrived a few months later, like a long-awaited letter from a cherished friend. We named it More Than Scraps. Tears welled in my eyes as I beheld the cover, my name gracing it in bold, no longer concealed in fine print or overshadowed by another's.
My Name, my Expressions, my Value.
The funds may not have transformed my existence, yet the affirmation was truly profound. Noah began to write as well. He now keeps a journal, and just last week, he shared with me a poem he composed, titled Chairs Don't Make the Table. He speaks little of that Thanksgiving now, yet I sense its imprint remains, and I believe he is discovering how to transform it into something beautiful. Sophie remains ever the same, a gentle spirit filled with curiosity, her watchful gaze ever attentive. She inquired whether we might host Thanksgiving this year, just the two of us along with a few cherished friends. No folding chairs, she declared, only couches, soft pillows and warm, inviting food. Indeed, we did. The living room, though modest in size, embraced its occupants with a warmth that rendered the constraints of space inconsequential, as laughter and conversation flowed freely among them. Gathered together, they dined on laps and floors, laughter mingling with the joy of sharing seconds. Candles flickered gently, music danced in the air, and love, genuine and profound, enveloped the scene like a tender embrace. No one inquired about our absence from Charlotte S., and I chose not to divulge the reason. That morning, my mother sent a brief message, merely 2 lines long. I trust this message finds you in good spirits. There are moments when I find myself longing for you. I gazed at it for a moment before responding, we are doing well. I trust you are as well. Only serenity, devoid of anger or bitterness. For it is in the lessons gathered since that fateful day in the garage that I find my understanding deepening. One may spend countless years seeking the affection of those who remain oblivious to its true essence, or one may choose to bestow that love upon oneself, witnessing the transformative magic it brings to every facet of life. There is strength in choosing to step away. There is a certain grace in crafting your own table. And at times, when you find yourself least prepared, the universe arrives in a grand limousine, gently reminding you that just because others failed to recognize your value, it has always been present, quietly shining within you. It was indeed. It has always been so. Perhaps, just perhaps, being relegated to the garage was not the slight I once believed it to be. Perhaps it was the illumination I never realized I craved. Should this tale resonate with you, if you have ever felt diminished, unseen, or inadequate, I wish to assure you that you are not alone in your journey. Yet, you were never truly present. Each of us is worthy of a place at the table. Yet, if they do not create a place for you, craft your own sanctuary.
Rest assured, the perfect souls will grace your presence.
If this video touched your heart, I would be grateful if you could show your appreciation with a like. It offers more support than you might realize. Whisper it to a soul who longs to hear it today. If you find yourself here for the first time, or if this tale has stirred something genuine within you, do consider subscribing to the channel. We weave tales of significance, and perhaps yours shall be the next to unfold. Kindly share your thoughts in the comments below. Have you ever experienced a moment in the garage that took your breath away? Or perhaps a moment when the world shifted in ways unforeseen? I cherish the words of all, and I would be delighted to hear from you. Thank you for joining us and for being a cherished part of something truly magnificent. Until we meet again in the next tale.